So, hey, this is Terry, and I'm back with Carly and Dave. And today we are talking about backgrounds, which, by the way, Carly, I think is an appropriate topic.
Why? What do you mean? You don't like my background?
I've seen that background.
It's high tide and low tide. It's like beachy, isn't it?
Change your latitude, change your attitude, right?
In all seriousness, we saw something similar in the video with Dave, again, kind of struggling with his technology at first. And then we addressed what was in his background as not really being appropriate. So I kind of redid it at home now, and the beer sign and the empty beer cans in the background, that doesn't really make you seem very professional. This is a rather extreme example of not being professional with your background. Dave, I think, has a more common background of what could be really distracting, not necessarily just inappropriate. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's very appropriate, but looking into Dave's closet, I might be like, oh, what does he have in there? Those picture boxes or clothes? So just trying to figure out what's in somebody's background is distracting, but again, not really appropriate either.
So Dave, describe your background there.
So I've got the picture from the old house. I do have my office closet full of stuff. I have some other things over here. You know, one of the things that we can do while we're talking, which is common, right, is some people, when they are interviewing or when they're doing anything stressful, they like to listen to music in the background to calm them. But like we're doing right now, music in the background while we're interviewing is super distracting, even if it's not the Humpty Dance. It can be super distracting. So you have to be aware of your surroundings, because, again, the interviewer is super aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, all they're doing is looking, again, by sight, seeing what they see. Dave talked about in our clothing interview of wearing the Dilly Dilly t-shirt. So now I'm going to be the girl with the Corona beer and beer cans, and Dave has a messy closet behind him.
Yeah.
Instead of remembering your name, remembering what maybe some of your answers that you probably did a great job answering, but then your background is a little distracting. Terry, I like yours, just a simple lamp and your chair.
So this is just an example of a really simple background. I've got a little side table, the chair I'm sitting in, and that's it. You know, it's not distracting, and it's just a nice, you know, warm, simple environment.
Yeah, so I know we talked about like the physical distractions that you can have in a previous video, but really to be aware of all the different distractions that you might have visually in your background or your surrounding areas can be a huge one. It's, again, easy to roll out of bed and get ready for your interview. Is your couch the best place to be interviewing? What's on your couch? You know, mine's probably full of laundry right now. So is that really where I'd want to sit and do an interview? Absolutely not. So just be aware of where you're at.
How about this one, Carly?
Yeah, and now that light is just filtering in from behind you.
Right, and if I do this, now it's shining off my head.
You look bald.
The issue is the same. I mean, goodness gracious, this is awful, isn't it?
I would
need anything.
Glasses to communicate with you. I would need sunglasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave.
Yeah.
You put some shades, Dave.
How's that better? So yeah, I think that, I mean, hopefully when we're having fun while we're doing this, but hopefully you're seeing that while interviewing, that we're talking really close, how distracting the background can be. Just in our conversations, how distracting the background can be. Imagine if there's money on the table, right? Imagine if the conversation we're having is, you know, your next career. You know, imagine if it's a difference between putting food on your table or not. I mean, those things are so important that you have to be aware of the stuff around you during an interview. Because the last thing you want to do is look over this shoulder. And although I love that print, you know, you're trying to figure out what it says, right? Because it's done in paint. And it's distracting because it's a completely different color, right? So it draws your eye. I mean, you might not even be looking at the person you're interviewing. If you're the interviewer, you're looking at that thing. What is that, by the way? Because it is such a standalone thing in the frame.
Mm-hmm. I think too, one last thing with your background, we're fortunate enough, I think, to be, for the most part, using computers that are stationary, but the second that you like pick it up or you're on your phone, it can kind of be wobbly, and then you're sitting in your frame and it's not very steady. So making sure that you have a steady spot for whatever piece of technology you're using to do your interview is important as well, because that makes your whole background and you shake, that's really distracting as well.
And you know, this might seem a little bit over the top, but I don't think it is. So if you were to put this on like a TV tray, right? And if it's not super steady and it shakes a little bit, I have a coworker who has significant motion sickness. I would think that if she's interviewing you and she's super focused, right? And your camera keeps doing this because it's not, you know, necessarily stable, I think you're going to make her ill. I think there's going to be enough motion, and because she's focused, enough motion, she's going to start feeling uncomfortable. I mean, she might not get sick, but I think in the background, that motion sickness is going to start to bite at her. So, I mean,
That could make
understand that I'm focused on you, and whatever it is that you have going on in your background, or like Carly said, with your camera, is going to impact the person that you're talking with.
To wrap this up a little bit, I had a client ask me, you know, after they did an online interview, well, you know, do I have to dress up for online interviews? They weren't dressed up. And, you know, especially in this time where a lot of people are working from home, you know, we can get into a habit of dressing down. But you need to keep in mind that the person interviewing you isn't looking for the job. You're looking for the job. So it is you who has the burden of presenting yourself appropriately, and not your. So anything you want to add?
No, Terry, I think you hammered that at the end. I think that's 100% the truth. It's, you know, no matter what somebody else does. So like you said, if the interviewer is dressed for, you know, going out in the barbecue in the back, if they have a band playing in the back, if they're outside and there's birds chirping, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's you that has to present yourself. You can't say that this is on them, because it's not. I mean, they might be tacky, they might be all that stuff, and you can make a decision based on that later. But at the interview time, you have to present the best you.
Yes. Yep. Agreed. Okay. So thanks for visiting with us, and we'll see you again.